Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
Yesterday, pretty emotional here on the program. And, yeah, I thought today was going to be a little bit different. It is a little cold here in the Tampa Bay area. Rocking the hoodie. Central Islip, baby. Central Islip Musketeer. The pride. Central Islip High School. Sports Hall of Famer. If you didn't know. What's going on, everybody? Happy December 9th, 2025. 9 shows left on the program this year before we turn over a new leaf and head to 2026. And we got some irons in the fire, some new things we're going to be bringing to the program next year. Cannot wait for that. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Tuesday here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. And no, Benny, it's not Islip, it's Central Islip. There's a difference, damn it. Man, yeah, we're going to get into the Bucks again. Like, yesterday was a very emotional, it was one of our most viewed podcasts of the year. It was incredible. I mean, obviously, we discussed some of the good things in the Tampa Bay area, what was going on with Brian Hartline getting introduced as the head coach of USF football yesterday. But a lot of chatter yesterday about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what went wrong against the New Orleans Saints. We had, obviously, Ian Beckles join us on the program like he does every Monday at 12:30. And one of the things that Ian said is something that we're going to get into here in a little bit. But as always, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We need less than 70 subscribers to make it to 2,000. If I go back for Christmas and I don't have 2,000 subscribers, my nephew Lawson is going to make fun of me. He's 8. I don't want to be made fun of by an 8-year-old. So make sure you share this on your social media platforms. Kill that like button for me. And let's try to get up to 2,000 subscribers. A big thank you to our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956 for your residential and commercial needs. Hammer was so jacked up that he ended up calling into the show yesterday. He was fired up about what was going on with the Buccaneers. And, of course, EverHealth. Go to everhealth.org. 17 different locations in Pinellas County. New type of healthcare. Go check them out. The EverHealth Injury Report with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez every Thursday at 12:30 right here on the program. It is a no guest type of show here today because there's plenty to get into. I always want to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns, put them there at the bottom of the screen. And if you want to chime in on the video chat, we had a bunch of video chats yesterday. You can do so on your phone or your laptop, StreamYard.com/MHS3P8RZ. JP. That is how we roll. Let's read some of your comments before we get rolling today. Benny says the Bolts will get their season back on track tonight. We'll talk a little Lightning a little bit later on the program, giving you kind of an update of what I'm thinking when it comes to the Bolts. That'll be at 12:45 today. Is there reason to panic over this Lightning skid? Also at 1 o'clock, the Rays and their reclamation projects. And at 1:15, the biggest adjustment that Brian Hartline is going to have to make here at USF. We'll get into that at 1:15, but the first 45 minutes or so talking about the Buccaneers. We do see some breaking news about a half hour ago. The Los Angeles Dodgers have come to an agreement with Edwin Diaz on a 3-year, $69 million deal. So $23 million a year for one of the hardest throwing players in all of baseball. They're fortifying that bullpen, and you saw what happened last year. They were experimenting with Roki Sasaki back there, but he's not necessarily a closer. You brought him over here from Japan to be a starter. And Blake Trinan, the guy that has the experience of closing those games, they really couldn't trust him as much. So that's why you saw in games 6 and 7, they were very heavy-handed with their starters, going with Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell and obviously Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who ended up winning the World Series MVP. So Edwin Diaz going to the Dodgers. The rich get richer. So That is the way it goes. David Terry, we're playing good hockey. Just can't seem to get to the back of the net. Let's go Bolts. I'm good with signing JPP. That is our good friend, one of the first ladies of our program, Janet Best. How about 36-year-old JPP coming to rescue the sinking ship? Wonder if Gronk wants to come back too. Everything is probably better than what we have at this point when it comes to pass rush. Dolan is in the house, says JPP's acquisition seems desperate, not on JPP's part, but the Buccaneers' part. And then we will go from there. All right. And King, we'll get to that. And David, congrats on your Man U win. Looks like Mo Salah is done in Liverpool. Listen, it's funny, DT. I've read a lot about the Mo Salah stuff, and I wanted to read everything and watch all the videos from Jamie Carragher and everything with Liverpool. So I'm actually going to do that today. I catch up on all of that. And shout out to the Pindingos, baby. 2-0 last night. I cannot move today. It's another reason why I'm wearing my hoodie. Shoulders jacked up, elbows jacked up, knees, both of them, and my right ankle is in bad shape right now. But it was all worth it, baby. All worth it. I slid into second base, 3 for 3 in the second game. I almost had a diving catch to win the game, but I dropped it. The ground caused the fumble, that rat bastard, but we ended up winning 20-10 anyway. So we're back in action on Wednesday. I'll probably just be coaching third and supporting the guys, but shout out to the Dingoes, the Pin Dingoes, baby, and my guy Nelly. Honest Hammer, what's up, Jay and fam? You are the man. Take turmeric for those shots, those joints. You're right, buddy. I actually have a cream that Dr. Rodriguez gave me, and it's for people that have really bad arthritis. I'm talking like, I don't know if it's like stage 4, but whatever. It's like people that can barely walk, so it's using that, which is great. All right, let's get right into it. I thought it was a joke. Like, I honestly thought that when I saw this news on social media yesterday, I thought that it was one of those things where it was somebody retweeting a post from like 5 years ago. But then you come to realize, no, it's not. It is present day. And of course, they traded for him. So it's real. It's true. It gets verified by everybody here in the Tampa Bay area and in the national media. And I just and let me put it to you like this. You guys know I grew up a Giants fan, and I love what JPP brought to the table to the Giants when they won the Super Bowl, and with the Buccaneers and the accountability and being able to talk to him and interview him. I mean, the way that he was able to come back after the fireworks accident, like, I got so much respect for that dude. Shout out to Alec Vega. Got your season tickets for the Bulls. Good for you. But this move just reeks of desperation. And I don't even think that there's any net positive that can come from this. Not at all. If you're banking on JPP to be the difference maker, a guy that hasn't been in football for 2 years, like, what does that say about your team? What does that say about your team that this guy was on the sidelines? This guy was home. He was sitting on the couch. I know he was probably working out, and it's not the same thing. It's one thing to be in shape. It's another thing to be in football shape. You haven't heard that from me. You've heard it from people that have played the game. What is this move going to do? This is nothing. This is a move for what is it? This is a last-ditch effort for what? This is going to make more headlines than make more impact. And this is, I think that's one of the things that really bothers me about this Buccaneers team is that we were speaking so well about this team this year, about how they went about their business in the right way. They didn't worry about all these other things. And now it's just like they're doing all these things where it's like, this is not what winning teams do. Like, winning teams don't do this. You're bringing in guys like, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference whatsoever. And I know desperate times call for desperate measures, and they are desperate for a pass rush, but there's no I just don't see JPP coming in and making that big of a difference. Listen, if I'm wrong and he's just a world beater and he comes in, I will so gladly be wrong. I'll raise my hand. I don't care. I don't care if I'm wrong. It's not about, I'd rather be right than I don't give a shit. I'm just giving you my opinion. At this time, this is a desperate move. Jason Light knows he made a mistake by not going out and drafting more pass rushers or signing more pass rushers or trading for somebody at the deadline. Like, I don't quite understand why this is the move. Why right now? What have you seen right now to think that JPP is going to be a difference maker? There's nobody else out there. There's nobody you could have traded for a couple weeks ago. I don't understand the rationale for the construction of the pass rush and the linebacker room for that matter. And Jason Light has done a lot better, and he's gotten a lot better on, what he's been able to do as far as not, analyzing these draft picks and trusting his scouts. And we know he's not making as many like Roberto Aguayo type decisions, but JTS was a bust. Chris Braswell had a sack. When's the next time that Chris Braswell is going to get a sack? Right? I mean, does anybody think that Chris Braswell is going to get a sack next week? I don't think so. I hope so. I don't think so. I look at this move and I look at the guy and a guy like JPP. Hold on, guys. Fixing something on the microphone. Sorry. We were so proud in the beginning of the season of this team and the resiliency and the fight and the way that everybody was coming together. Now, like, you turn into this team where everything is falling. People are jumping ship and people are thinking and wondering, what's the deal with this team? What is the deal with this Buccaneers team? They're grasping at straws. They are in a position right now where they're fighting for their lives. They're losing. They're coming up against a division opponent on Thursday night, a primetime game against a quarterback that they struggle against. They don't play well at night. And all the pressure's on the Buccaneers right now. All of it. And the fact that Jason Light depended on Yaya Diaby, David Walker, Chris Braswell, Hassan Reddick, Anthony Nelson, Marquise Watts as your pass rush for this year. I don't quite understand why that wasn't more of a focus. Like, you have to shake it up. I said this on the program yesterday. You can't just think, all right, as long as I hoard all my draft picks and draft guys, we'll hit on some of them. No, man. You got to go out there. You got to find different ways to make this team better. And it's so weird because you have examples. You have examples because you've done it before. When you traded for JPP, when this team, when they needed to get over the hump, when they brought in Simeon Rice, the guy was just there. The guy was just at Raymond James Stadium getting inducted into the Ring of Honor. So, like, I don't quite understand this just focus or lack of focus on the pass rush, knowing how important it is to Todd Bowles' defense. Now, is it on Todd to adjust and put his players in a position to succeed? Yes. I don't want to go through everything I said yesterday, but my God, I don't get it. And for those that are excited about JPP, that is one of the hallmarks of a losing team or a team that is just kind of holding on to success of the past. You're trying to go back and you're trying to, if we bring this guy in, he used to be a champion with us, everything will be better. Now, how often does that work out? Very few and far between. We actually have seen it work out here in Tampa before with Ryan McDonough. Yanni Gord to a lesser extent, but definitely with Ryan McDonough. But Ryan McDonough was still playing good hockey. Ryan McDonough was still playing hockey. He wasn't on the sidelines. He wasn't at home. JPP wasn't even in the National Football League last year. And this is the guy. Like, what does that say about your pass rush? What does that say about the job that Jason Light has done with these guys on the outside trying to rush the passer? Not good enough. And people are telling me all the time that he's the best GM in the sport. And he's all like, okay, he's good. He's damn good. He's gotten better, no doubt. But you know as well as I do, how good are you going to be if you don't have some semblance of a pass rush, if you don't have some game wrecker on the defensive line? Look at the guys last year in the Super Bowl with Chris Jones. And I know he's not your prototypical. He's not outside, like they move him around. But you look at the Eagles and everything that they've invested every single year, even when they have Hassan Reddick, even when they have Brandon Graham, even when they have Nolan Smith, when they have Jordan Davis, and they have Jalen Carter. They have all these different guys. They've had Fletcher Cox. They have all these guys for the last 10 years. So what do? They just keep bringing in guys. They keep bringing in guys. I just don't understand why, when that's one of the biggest differences between you making up ground, you're there. You're within striking distance of the best teams in the National Football League. All you have to do is throw numbers upon numbers upon numbers on your pass rush. Everybody and their mother sign cheap to keep going, try. And it's just like, all right, well, we're expecting a lot of we have a bunch of one-hit wonders. We got a bunch of chumbawambas on this defense. A bunch of tub thumpers. Anthony Nelson looks like a beast against the New Orleans Saints. Remember this is what I want to remember this. Anthony Nelson has a great game against the New Orleans Saints. What is everybody saying on Monday? He needs to play more. He played more. What's happened? There's a reason why he's a fourth pass rusher. Great guy, great rotational guy. He's going to be available, help out with the run. He's going to be in the right spot. You love Anthony Nelson. But if he was that damn good, you're not paying Hassan Reddick what you paid that dude. Chris Braswell, he gets a sack. When's the next time he's going to get a sack? Yaya Diaby, still waiting for him to be this, larger-than-life character on the outside. Ian said it yesterday about Vita Vea. He makes one big play a game. Kalijah Cansey's never healthy. I mean, this defensive line, you win and lose in the trenches. We're trying to overcomplicate things, and we're trying to look at so many different things. And why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? And we're pointing our finger at a lot of different things, myself included. And we're not saying that it's wrong. But why have the Buccaneers struggled? Why? I don't think it's that difficult. Ian Beckles has a mother effing podcast named after it. This team is not good in the trenches. They're not. They get pushed around. They can't stop anybody on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. They can't really get that yard on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. So should we really be all that surprised that they're struggling right now? They won a lot of close games in the beginning of the season. They have a lot of, high profile names and, guys that jump off the page and look at what they did here, look at what they did there. It's a lot of flash and dash. It's more style than substance. You look at this offensive line, even when they've been healthy, they haven't been all that great. They were, 4/5, I think, healthy in that Saints game. 3/5 or 4/5. And it was one of the worst games they've had all year. Tristan was played in that game. You're looking at this offensive line, missing Cody Mauch. Cody Mauch, a lot of people going into the season thought he was the weakest link anyway. So you have Gedeke, you have Barton, you have Bredesen until this week, and Tristan Wirfs. And even when those four guys were together, there wasn't sustained success. There wasn't sustained health. That's true as well. But they're not playing all that well. They haven't been coached up well. They haven't played well. And again, it's everybody. Josh Grizzard's play calling has left a lot to be desired. Baker Mayfield's playing has left a lot to be desired. But you can't win when you lose the battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Defensively, getting pushed around. Not getting to the quarterback. And I remember early in the season, I took a video in the Avon Health Training Center indoor facility there, and we looked at it and we said, Logan Hall, Vita Vea, Kalaja Kansi, Yaya Diaby, Hassan Reddick. You're like, okay. From everything that we've been led to believe, this is going to be a force. Stop the run, make these teams turn one-dimensional, get them on third down, pin your ears back, and get after the quarterback. They're not imposing at all. The only time that this defensive line has been imposing it has been that video, what I posted earlier this year. You lose the battle in the trenches, you're going to lose most games. And that's why you can blame Todd Bowles and you can blame Jason Light and you can blame Baker Mayfield. I have. I did. I will. But let's not forget that the games are won and lost in the trenches, and this team is not good on either side of the ball. Can they hang their hat on either side of the trenches playing well? I don't think you can. Are you going to stop Bijan Robinson Thursday night? Does anybody have faith that they're going to be able to hold up against the lowly pass rush of the Atlanta Falcons? I don't think so. Maybe. I want to ask you guys that. Do you have the confidence that the Buccaneers are going to turn this around? Can they? Will they? There's part of me that says yes. There really is. But then there's another huge part of me is like, what? Are you nuts? Are you serious? No way. Because when I watch this team, they have not earned the benefit of the doubt. They have not earned 6-7 for Eddie. Drew Dolan, confidence is severely low at this point. Sean Aguilar, no, they're going to lose to the Panthers. Do you have faith that they're going to turn this season around? The one thing that I do love about this entire situation of sports in general is that players and teams have the opportunity to flip the narrative. They have the opportunity to say, this is how it was, but now this is how it's going to be. And that's the beautiful thing. It really is. But all we can judge the Buccaneers on right now is what we've seen so far. Do I have faith that the Bucs will turn their season around? No. No, I don't. Because it's gotten progressively worse. There's so much blame to go around when it comes to Todd Bowles, when it comes to Jason Light, when it comes to Baker Mayfield, when it comes to the pass rush, when it comes to the offensive line. That's the crazy thing, is that just 6 weeks ago, we're talking about this team as one of the best teams in the NFL. And now look at us. Now, would you be surprised if they turned it around? In a weird way, no. Because sports and football has this funny way of kind of flipping everything on its head. You think you know, and then pow, the other thing happens. But if I was a betting man, I do not think they turn it around. I can only judge by what we've seen. And again, I said this with Ian yesterday. You beat the Falcons. I don't know if it's so much that you're better than them or you're a good team. They just might be worse. CJ, our guy. Even if they do somehow scrape by a win against Carolina and get to the playoffs, you have faith that they'll win that game. That's another great point. And it really is. Janet Best, I don't have faith that they can, but I can still hope. Yes, but it's the hope that kills you. First Lady Janet Best. It really is. And when I watch this team, they haven't given us anything in the last couple of weeks that gives us that hope. I feel like one of the most poignant things that I said yesterday was, because I go back and listen to my rant and I listen to the conversation that we had with Ian. And in the beginning of the year, when they were winning those games, those close games against Houston, against Seattle, you wonder, hey, this is a team kind of figuring its way out. I think every year each team has a different identity, right? And I think sometimes you have to let the games play out. You have to go through some trials and tribulations. You got to fight your way through some circumstances before you can create that identity. I think it's different for every group. And along the way, you're hoping that you can win some of those games. Because sometimes you have to go through some losing and you have to go through some bad things in order for you to be able to kind of figure it out. You'll hear people sometimes say you learn more from losing than you do winning. But I think sometimes you can learn from winning games where maybe you shouldn't have won. But as you get to the midway point of the season with this team and you're still not improving in those areas that you struggled with, even though you were able to come away with victories, then it really catches up with you, and it catches up with you fast. You don't just gradually descend into, you just gradually get worse. You fall off a cliff, and that's what's happened with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's why just very few and more people are jumping off the Buccaneers bandwagon. They're looking at this year as a wasted opportunity. They're looking at this year as, where the hell did this team go? And it's scary because there is a little bit of a proof of concept of a team where they've struggled in the middle of the season with some tough games, but they've been able to bounce back and they've been able to win. It doesn't, even though we've seen them do it before, I don't feel the same right now. Am I the only one that feels like that? Shine says, I'll feel better when Mike is out there again. Yeah, I mean, again, it'd be great to get Mike back, Jalen McMillan back, but does that help them in the trenches? We just don't have enough talent on defense to stop anyone, and coaching is not up to par. You're not wrong. CJ, a huge talking point after those comeback wins early in the season was it wasn't pretty, but it's better to learn from win than loss. However, I don't think they learned anything. You're not. I'm with you, buddy. I am with you. And that's the sad part. I almost feel like the Bucs were reading their newspaper clippings. We got an MVP candidate. We should have the coach of the year. We have the offensive player of the year. Look how smart Jason Light is. And it's like, now look at him. Now look at him. Where are they at now? They're one of the worst teams in the National Football League the last couple of weeks. I don't know how many teams. I mean, you look at even the freaking the Titans lost. The Titans won last week. Like, Evolve is in the house. Jay Adami. These players don't believe in themselves right now. Evolve. Seems like the team is defeated. Injuries don't help, but we aren't the only team struggling with injuries. But our leaders have to play better, starting with Baker. He hasn't managed games well. He hasn't. And that's why I don't want to hear anything when people talk about injuries. Everybody goes through them. You still have had Baker this entire time. There's other teams that kind of hold the fort down. We see what Baltimore did. They went on a swoon. They waited. They kind of held the fort until Lamar came back. They won some games. I know they lost last week, but you just kind of have to chip in. Everybody's got to play 2%, 5% better. They're just not a team that you can bank on right now with any type of consistency. And I see you, Josue. They're consistent at being inconsistent. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And it comes from the top. It'd be one thing if certain guys were playing well and you'd say, well, at least they have this. At least they have that. And as Sean asking, you're a little late to the party. I mentioned it before, but I'll say it again here, Sean. It reeks of desperation, the JPP signing. You sign him to the practice squad because you can't just bring him in and put him on your roster because then you have to get rid of somebody else. But is JPP the end-all, be-all? Is JPP going to stop the run? Is JPP – how many snaps is he going to play after being outside of football? Like, this is more of a something for social media, and this is more of something where – and somebody's going to say, well, he'll help in the room, and he'll help. Bro, he hasn't been in there. You can't lead from the sideline. You got to lead from the front. You got to lead when you're out there. That's how JPP leads. He's not a coach. He's not coaching these guys. He could help Yaya. He can help this. No, he's not. Come on. If your hope is that JPP can come in here and coach the freaking edge rushers, why do you have coaches in the first place? That shit makes zero sense. He can come in there and blah, blah, blah. It could be a positive veteran presence in the locker room. Bro, a positive presence in the locker room in week 14, 15? What the hell? That's not realistic. That makes zero sense whatsoever. Come on, man. That's wishful thinking more than anything. He's going to help in and be a good positive. Bro, they don't need that. That's not the point. Not the point. Again, this team is not jumping ship, even though fans are. The team isn't. The team's still working together. You don't hear any of those people pointing fingers at Todd Bowles. You don't hear some of the BS that you hear from other teams out there. That is a feather in the cap of Todd Bowles and Jason Licht. That's the kind of people that they bring in to be a part of this Bucs organization as a whole, to not fracture when things go wrong. But it's ugly. It's ugly as hell right now. And when you sign a guy like Jason Pierre-Paul, that is just for the headlines. That's it. That's it. And let's say he does come in and he starts. Let's say he does come in and he plays more than Braswell and plays more than Yaya Diaby and plays, right? Like, what does that say about those guys? What does that say about them going forward? You can't win with a pass rush like that. You can't win with guys like that. You need to build from the top, not build from the depth. Like, all right, we have a bunch of 3s and 4s. That doesn't help you get any better. You had Shaq and JPP. You had Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea. That was a dynamic front 4. All firing on all cylinders, and then the back 7 could do whatever the hell they wanted in that Todd Bowles scheme. You don't have – it's Vita. And don't give me the, when the Kalijah comes back, because Kalijah has not been anywhere close to what Ndamukong Suh was for this team. Not even close. There's so much wishful thinking, and I hope this happens, and I hope that happens. That's not what good teams do. It's not, I hope this works out. When you go into a season saying, I hope this gets better, and I hope, how often does that happen? Rarely. Rarely. Come on, guys. JPP, really? That's where we're at right now? Nothing at the trade deadline? No other free agents out there? We signed JPP, a guy that I love, but JPP? Oh, boy. Not good. Not good at all. All right. I asked this question, too. And when Ian joined us on the program, I thought this was something that was very, it stood out to me. And surprising, maybe a little bit. But he said, if the Buccaneers lose to the Falcons, they have to dismantle everything. And I put it up on social media. It's all over the place. So people can check it out and you can go back and watch it. Don't watch it now. Watch it later. But what if the Bucs do lose on Thursday night against the Falcons? Just let that marinate. Close your eyes and let that marinate for a second. Breathe it in. What if the Bucs lose to the Falcons on Thursday nights? What if they lose in primetime to Kirk Cousins and the Falcons? Holy smokes. Friday is going to be one of the wildest freaking days in Buccaneers history. If that happens, you are talking about a team in the Falcons that record-wise is a game better than the New Orleans Saints. Everybody loves point differential. They're 48 points better. They've scored 46 more. They've given up 2 less. Are you really going into that game confident that the Buccaneers are going to win and beat the Atlanta Falcons? How can you? How can you? Can you imagine Kirk Cousins coming in here and hooking up with these receivers, some of these no-name guys, Bijan Robinson running wild, some of their draft picks that they had the last coming year finally stepping up, Baker looking miserable on the sidelines, Todd Bowles standing there with his arms crossed, not saying anything, pissing off everybody that hates how quiet he is. What happens? What if they do lose? The Glazers are not a family that fires coaches in the middle of the season. But if the Falcons come into Raymond James Stadium on Thursday and they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Todd Bowles is done. He's done. Sorry. Just the way it goes. There's no amount of injuries. There's no amount of wins at the end of the season that could help him. The fact that they would lose back-to-back games to a team with 2 wins and then 4 wins, over. And again, I'm not a person that's calling for anybody's job. I'm not saying that's what I would do. I'm saying that's what I think will happen. You need progress. You need teams that are going to be able to get you over the hump. When you're a team that has aspirations to make a long playoff run, to win the Super Bowl, just like competing for a playoff spot is not good enough. And regression on the defensive side of the ball. Guys not developing and getting better. Let me ask you this. In the last 3 years, who has gotten better? Who has improved on this defense? Has Yaya gotten better? Well, I'll ask the names. In the last 3 years, guys that have been here, who has gotten better? I'll give you a name. I'll give you names. Has Yaya gotten better? Nope. Has Vita Vea gotten better? I would say no. He kind of is what he is, but I wouldn't say he's gotten better. He's not an all-pro, right? I know it's only been 2 years. Has Chris Braswell gotten better? Has Anthony Nelson gotten better? Has Levante David gotten better? Has Servase Dennis gotten better? Has Jamel Dean gotten better? Zion McCollum? Maybe. Has Antoine Winfield Jr. gotten better? I think Ty Key has. Christian Izzian has. Think about that, man. Not many guys on the defensive side of the ball have gotten better. That is scary. You have to continuously improve. You have to continue to build on your skill set and improve and get better. You don't see that on the defense. You're a defensive head coach. The buck stops with Todd Bowles. I know that it's this situation where, like, you'll have the Bulls defenders out there, and he's like, he's not the one out there playing. I get that, but you can't fire the whole team. And this is why I hope you guys respect my opinion when it comes to things like this, because I don't just hate on guys for hating. Like, I judge you based on what you do, and I don't give a shit what anybody else says. I don't care. These are my thoughts, my opinions. I don't watch TV shows with their opinion. I don't care. This is what I see. I go to cover these games. I cover these guys. I talk to them. I believe, nobody told me, hey, you shouldn't be so hard on Todd Bowles. You should believe in Todd Bowles. I looked at a guy that was getting better. I looked at a guy that was more open-minded. I looked at a guy that looked like he was different than the dude that coached the New York Jets. You were showing everybody that you can teach an old dog new tricks. But now you get into a situation this year where your special team sucks. You're still riding with Thomas McGahee as your special teams coordinator. Where was he at? Where was he at? Where was Thomas McGahee at before the Bucs? Go look it up. The Giants. You watch that shit show for a special teams unit. Now you come here. It's like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen week to week on special teams. Think about this, guys. It's one thing if you have a field goal problem, right? It's one thing if you have a guy and you're like, we just can't find a field goal kicker. We saw it with the Bucks before they got Aguayo. That's the reason why he went and got Aguayo. One part of it. But it hasn't just been that. Remember, Chase stunk the first couple games. He's been fine since. We're not worried about him. The blocks, the block punts, the crappy punts from Riley Dixon, and then he's the special teams player of the week last week. But the coverage has been shit all year long. Why that guy is still coaching this team, I don't understand. Like, we could talk about the players. We can talk about the players till the cows come home. But when your special teams coordinator, your offensive coordinator, and your defensive coordinator are not doing a great job, how the hell do you expect this team to win? You can't. You can't. The more and more you peel back the onion and you just look at different parts of this team, players and coaches, it's bad. It's bad. It just gets worse and worse the closer that you look at it. It does not get better. It gets worse and worse and worse. Oh, God. The more you talk about this team, the more you feel worse and worse and worse. And Todd Bowles at the end of the day has to answer for it. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. You're the guy that you're going to get. I've given you credit. And now you're getting blame. There's a lot of people out there that for some reason don't want to give Todd Bowles credit. I'd have no problem doing that with anybody. Giving you credit, giving you blame. I don't care. But when you watch this team and how they performed and how the coaches have performed, dude, that falls on Todd Bowles. That falls on Jason Light. You guys work together to formulate this staff, to bring these players in here. You're at that table. You have these discussions. Will the Bucks turn it around? I don't think so. What if the Bucks do lose on Thursday night against the Falcons? I think it's a real possibility. I really do. You're playing against these teams with nothing to lose. Last week was the Saints Super Bowl. The Falcons are going to feel the same way. What do they have to play for down the stretch? You're telling me that if you ask the Saints and the Falcons if they can be spoilers for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season to stop their run at the top of the NFC South, they would sign up for that all day long. All day long. And SRQ Tom, to me, it seems like Bowles is like Dungy 2.0, a great person, but just can't get the team to the next level. I think every coach has a shelf life. I think that every team at times needs a new voice. I think not every team, and I'm going to say this very carefully, not every team can be led to a championship by the same coach and vice versa, right? I think you can be a really good coach of a team, but not be the guy to bring them to a championship. It's kind of the way it goes with certain guys. And it's not just Bowles and Dungy. Like, there's other examples out there as well. But again, what does that comparison do? I don't know. I can just judge Todd Bowles on what he's done, and he's just not getting this team to a and I don't know what's more. That's the thing, is why I don't. You can't defend Todd Bowles anymore. It's indefensible. Do you defend the defensive coordinator side of Todd Bowles? Or do you defend the head coach decision maker of Todd Bowles? You can't defend either one, whether you like the guy or not, whether you've defended him in the past or not. Like, this is the reality of the situation, guys. I'm not changing my opinion just because it's cool to do. I'm changing my opinion based on the facts, based on what I'm seeing. You still have Thomas McGahee and Josh Grisard doing their thing. Now, I do love that Todd Bowles is even keel. He doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low, but sometimes you need to change, man. Sometimes you need to upset the apple cart, and he's done it. Making some changes on the coaching staff, bringing in a guy to help him with the clock management. But you have to continue to adapt. You have to continue to evolve. I think it's part of the reason why a guy like Andy Reid has been so good for all these years is that even as he's gotten older, he realizes like offensively, he needs to think outside the box. Patrick Mahomes, what do you got? Travis Kelce, what do you got? Asking his guys, having a period in practice every Wednesday for new plays. You have to be inventive. And we're in the same spot with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers every year where they go through this middle of the season malaise, and it takes a Herculean effort for them to be able to come back down the stretch and take care of business and win. This year, it looks way more difficult than in years past. There's a part of me that I'm looking at this Bucs team going, what does happen on Friday if they lose? What does happen? Do we see the first fractures? Do we see really the beginning of the end of Todd Bowles' tenure as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach? Do the Glazers give him grace? Do the Glazers look at him and say, you've dealt with so many injuries this year. You've gotten better the 3 years prior as far as increasing your win total. I don't see how you bring him back. I don't, because I feel like he's a lame duck. Because this is a team that's not going to be judged. I said this earlier this year. This Buccaneers team is not going to be judged by what they do in the regular season as far as their success goes. They got to get to the playoffs. They got to make some noise in the playoffs. It was really NFC Championship game or bust for them this year. And if they're struggling right now to beat a 2-10 team with a rookie quarterback at home, dude, we may not even get a chance to find that out. That's the scary part. This team is scary, and not in a good way. You want to be a scary team, but you want to be a scary team towards the opposition. You don't want to be a scary team for your fan base. Because I know there's a lot of people very apprehensive going into that game Thursday night. There's a lot working against the Buccaneers. King Cook wants to know, why doesn't Bucs media ask our players about their lack of effort and focus during games? I mean, they do, King. They do, as far as, years ago when Devin White was asked, right? And it's tough too, because you have to ask it in a way where they're going to answer it, and I don't know if it's necessarily a lack of effort. I do say it's a lack of juice, because I think the juice is just a little extra, right? King, I just don't think they're that good, man. I think that's the thing. You look at some of the guys on the team, do I question Yaya Diaby's effort? No. I don't question his effort. I don't question Servassier Dennis's effort. I don't question Graham Barton's effort. You know what I'm saying? I don't question Emeka Ibuka or Chris Godwin. They're not making plays. And that's the hard thing when you're talking about sports sometimes, is people want to go to they want to question the effort. They want to question the focus. They want to have all these different, sometimes the guys that just aren't playing well enough. And it's difficult to quantify it with a number. But when you just watch the guys, they have to be better. They have to be better. And if not, it's on the Buccaneers organization. It's on their front office to bring in guys that are better. You did it at the running back position. Rachaad White was good. He was serviceable. But you brought in a guy like Bucky Irving, and by the end of the season, he was RB1. That's got to be like that with every position on this freaking team, quarterback included. If not, this is what happens. Every single freaking year, you go down in the middle of the season against good teams. Something's got to change, man. You can't keep doing the same thing every year. If you're Todd, if you're Jason Light, and thinking that it's just naturally and automatically going to change. It doesn't happen like that. Oh, bro, I can't believe you said this. Jameis told me that I've been balling. Check my sheet. I defended Jameis so many times because I thought there was a lot, this wasn't a winning franchise. He didn't really have much to learn from. He was a young kid. And I was like, all right, he was always great to me. But then when he was like, I've been balling, check my sheet. I'm like, oh, Jameis, I can't defend that, buddy. What are you doing to me, J-Boo? All right, let's talk a little Lightning hockey here on the program. Is there reason to is there reason to panic over this Lightning skid? And you look at another loss last night, and you look at the loss last couple of days. Last couple of games have not been good. Am I freaking out? No. And here's why. First off, no Vazzy. No Vazzy. And it's just a different look with this team. And it's not just, and people will say, oh, well, this and that, and, this guy's got to play better, and blah, 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 blah. It's not always about just your team and what they're doing. And let's not forget, Lightning are still 6-4 in their last 10. I know they've lost 4 in a row, but they're tied for second place in the Atlantic Division, and they have a game in hand over the Detroit Red Wings. So if they win tonight, does Detroit play tonight? Doesn't look like it. They'll be back in first place. They might be tied with the Bruins, but they're still right there. When you have a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky and he's not in the lineup, it makes the other team stand up a little bit taller on the bench. It just, you don't have, it's in, and I think it's like that when a guy's hurt rather than when a guy has a night off. Because when it's just one time. All right, here, I'm going to put it to you like this. I want to say this the right way so you guys can follow my rationale. Yeah. When you have a backup goaltender play like a Jonas Johansson, the team knows, like, all right, it's a night off for our one. So everybody raises their level a little bit. You see this all the time in hockey. You see these random backup goalies pitch a shutout, and it's, and I know this playing hockey, when we had a worse goalie back there, you're just a little bit more on it when it comes to clearing the puck, when it comes to picking up rebounds, when it comes to positioning, when it comes to communication. That's just the way it goes. It just happens. There's certain things that you don't have to do when Andrei Vasilevsky is between the pipes. And it's not just like that with him, it's with everybody. But it's different when it's a one-game thing. When it's just a one-game thing, hey, for this one game, we're going to have to be on our P's and Q's. Vazzy be back in the next game. When it's for a little bit of a longer run, right, you don't have that sense of urgency. You kind of settle in with your guy like JoJo being your starter. So when you settle in like that, your intensity drops. It's just natural, guys. It's natural. It just happens. And now the other team, right, on their mind, they're like, all right, they're raising, right? It's almost like this. So you have like in two hands. You raise your level a little bit because it's just a one-game thing. You got to stick it out for JoJo. They raise their level because it's not Vazzy. Right? So now when he plays 3 or 4 games, you don't have that intensity because now you're treating him like the everyday goalie, but they still have that raise in their level because Vazzy's not in there. Does that make sense? I feel like I explained it pretty well at the end, not so much in the beginning. So when it comes to something like that, it's not just on the goaltending, right? The entire situation as a whole with this team, I still think they're trying to figure out like where they're at. What's the right combination? Because everybody's still not back. When everybody gets back, everybody's in the lineup and everybody's healthy, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when you get the McDonoughs and the Chernaks, when you get Dominic James and Curtis Douglas in the lineup. Like, where are they at? There's no reason to freak out when it comes to this Lightning team. And here's another reason why, and I think this is probably one of the biggest reasons why, is when you look at this division for the first time in probably 6 or 7 years, nobody's running away with it. There's no clear-cut favorite in the Atlantic this season. Toronto does not look the same without Mitch Marner. We know what Boston is. They're a team that's in transition. We know Florida is dealing with the injuries to Kachuk and to Barkov. So it's not like, if you think about it, I just mentioned it. You lost 4 games in a row. You're still a point out of first. That doesn't happen all the time. So everything is pretty close. How many years? 6, 7. I didn't even realize that. So if you are the Lightning, get back to playing the right way, and it starts tonight in Montreal against Les Habitants, the Montreal Canadiens. Now, we could see Brandon Halverson in net, which would be fun. You could get that boost, right? So there you go. There you go. You could get that backup goalie boost tonight if Brandon Halverson plays in the net, filling in for a guy like Jonas Johansson, right? You see what I'm saying? Now, we know we have to look out for on this team with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, Marty St. Louis behind the bench. Ironically enough, Montreal's only 7-7-1 at home. Bolts 8-4-2 away. So get back to playing an honest game. I think scoring first tonight would give them some confidence. Give them an opportunity to kind of get their feet wet a little bit because they've gotten shut out in back-to-back games. And even in the game against the Penguins, if you remember, they went down 3-0 before coming back. So getting the first goal tonight is huge. Huge. The Lightning have not scored the first goal since, hold on, it hasn't been even in the game against the Islanders. The Rangers, they had the first goal. So they haven't scored the first goal in any of those 4 losses. Get a lead. Get a lead early. Get yourself feeling good about yourself, and then play Lightning hockey. Play a good, honest game. Get the puck out. No stupid turnovers. No stupid penalties. And I think they'll be okay. But keep an eye on that when it comes to the first 20 minutes of this game. Keeping an eye on this team. I think they'll be in good shape. And I still, the whole Kucherov Point thing, I think it's going to take some time for Point to adjust. Take some time to adjust without playing with Kucherov, playing on the line with Gensel and Paul. I still think they're a chip shy on offense. They're a chip shy. Because I think in the long run, Cirelli, Hagel, and Kucherov is the way to go. But who plays with Point? Obviously, Gensel, he's a top 6 guy, but who's that third guy? Because to me, it's not Nick Paul. It's not Nick Paul. Nick Paul's a center. I want him in the middle of the ice. He's a big guy. He's responsible. I don't want him playing on the wing. I think you waste it. Nick Paul's got to be your third line center. It's all where you slot in. Line 4 needs to be Gord, Girgensons, and Holmberg. That's line 4. Line 3 has got to be Nick Paul, Dominic James, and Oliver Bjorkstrand. And then line 2 is who's on that line with Point and Gensel. Is it Gonsalves? Is it Connor Geeky? Is it Dylan Duke? Is it somebody that's not even on this roster yet? I think you got to get into a situation because Oliver Bjorkstrand just does not fit in with this team. And I don't think a lot of people want to say that. He just doesn't fit in with this team. Sorry. You have to bring Steven Stamkos back. I'm going to say it every freaking day if I have to. Because this is what your 12 forwards will be. Hagel, Cirelli, and Cooch. Point, Gensel, and probably Dominic James. And I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Nick Paul. Who was my other guy? Oh, Stammer. And then where do you go, right? That's that third line because it's not going to be Bjorkstrand. You put Gonsalves on that line? Gonsalves a little bit more of a playmaker with Nick Paul setting up Stamkos? Bring Connor Geeky there? Then your fourth line, I said keep that the way it is. They got to find something. They got to find some type of mix, whether that's Connor Geeky, whether that's Pelletier, whether that's somebody else, whether you have Jack Finley in that spot. I wouldn't hate that either. But I want Paul in the middle, Gord in the middle. All right, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Let me tell you about my friends over at Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, residential commercial, 813-244-0956. My guy, Russ, right here, baby. I got the card. Licensed general contractor, CGC 153-1166, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, the Honest Hammer at gmail.com. thehonesthammer.com. Check them out right now. New pictures up on the website. If you're looking for bathroom renovation, kitchen renovation, if you have a plot of land and you're looking for just a brand new build all together, he's got your back. If you got a room in the house, you're like, dude, I need to change this. I need a home makeover. My guy Russ is the way to go. 813-244-0956. Tell him that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. You want to be able to trust people that work on your home. Not just people that work on your house, people that work on your home. This is the place that you live with your wife or your husband and your kids, and you have holidays there. Like, you want to be able to trust the guys that are working on your home, that nothing's wrong with it, that you can just kind of next 10, 20, 30, 40 years living in that place, and you can be happy with the craftsmanship. You can be happy with the work that is done. My guy, Russ, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. They can help you out. Again, tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Get a discount. He also has discounts for first responders. 813-244-0956. 813-244-0956. And then also EverHealth, everhealth.org. And you see the QR codes right there to it's my left, your right. I don't even know these mirror screen things. EverHealth, 17 different locations in Pinellas County. And I look at EverHealth, and it's really the new age of healthcare. And they have a sliding scale for the uninsured. They take any type of insurance. When you look at their website, everhealth.org, and you see how many different services that they offer there, everything from the cradle to the grave. They don't want to be your last resort. They want to be your first resort. And the EverHealth Institute, which I can't say enough. I was walking around the facility a couple of weeks ago. The EverHealth Institute, to be able to watch them and see how people learn hands-on before they're able to work in the medical field. It brings me back to my stuff with the broadcasting school, the way I was able to go to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting and be able to get in the studio and to be able to work on my breaks and work on these different things. And then when I did eventually get the call to WDAE, I was ready. And I know there's people out there, you're wondering, I'm kind of in a dead end job. I want a career. I want to work in the healthcare industry. I don't want to do a 4-year or 6-year school. EverHealth, man, the way to go. Everhealth.org. Again, tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Okay, let's talk a little Rays baseball. How about it? So apparently, looks like Scott Sabrin's being called up for the Lightning ahead of tonight's game in Montreal. Okay. All right, so the winter meetings right now going on. And there is so much that you have to keep an eye out for. We already spoke about the move today with Edwin Diaz signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's not going to stop. Kyle Schwarber back to the Philadelphia Phillies on a 5-year deal. 5-year deal worth $150 million. And this is not the end. This is not the end of the moves that you're going to see over the next week or so. But the winter meetings, you start hearing a lot of different information out there. And I go back to the race. And I go back to I just go back to hearing the news of Cedric Mullins being brought in and Steven Matz now being brought in. And I want things to be different for the Rays. I really do. It's tiresome. I get way more pissed than I really should when it comes to talking about this team, because I just feel like the fans deserve better. I feel like there's a different way to go about your business. But just the fact that they, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to try to defend this team, and you're every single year it's a reclamation project, and you're signing a Wilson Ramos knowing that he's not going to play. You're signing a Ha-Seong Kim knowing that he's not going to play. You get a guy like Cedric Mullins, who a couple of years ago was one of the best center fielders in baseball, and then the Orioles, they just wanted to get rid of the guy. And you're hoping that you bring him in here and he gives you some stability. But again, it's a reclamation project. Steven Matz is a back into the end rotation kind of guy. He's never been a top of the rotation kind of guy. he's your token veteran starter that the Rays bring in every year. And it's just the same thing over and over and over and over again with this team. Like, is there anybody going to be excited about the Rays this season as far as their chances to win in the AL East, knowing that the Blue Jays are going to come off of a World Series appearance? The Yankees are going to be the Yankees. You know the Red Sox are going to make some noise. The Orioles, God knows what's going to happen with those guys. But I just, there's a lot. And SRQ Tom, I mean, he's very low on the Rays this season. Why shouldn't you be? Again, optimist, pessimist, realist. Even Rays fan Gio will say it. Rays bargain shopping. Again, the Rays, they don't go to the high-end boutiques. You know what the Rays do? The Rays walk right into your local Walmart. They walk past the produce. They walk past the T-shirts. They walk past the blenders. And they go right to that metal case in the corner. And it's like a cage. And they have 250 DVDs worth $3.99. And you can get everything from Flubber to The Hunt for Red October. That's what the Rays do. And they look at the back of the DVD case and they go, I didn't know Gene Hackman was in this. Oh, wow, look, they have Good Burger in here. Remember when Kenan Thompson was in this? Now he's on SNL. The Rays sit there and they look at these DVDs and they go, this is a great deal. This is a steal. Look at what I got. I got 102 Dalmatians. It's not even 101. I got the sequel. I'm balling out. They go back in there. They start looking at the DVD. Ooh, this one's $2.99. This is The Sound of Music, the original version. I can't wait to put this on at home. You dig deeper. This one's 99 cents. No way. The Friday after next. This is great. Unbelievable. The Friday after next. Sign me up for this one. I love Ice Cube. He's so funny. This is what the Rays do. The Rays are just digging in the barrel. They're digging in that cage, looking for somebody that put the wrong sticker on the wrong movie. Oh, look, a Disney classic. It's Beauty and the Beast. Be our guest. Be our guest. The Rays stink. They're not the best. They're going to go out and sign free agents that are 35 and older. Oh, boy. Just the way it goes, man. And people will say with the Rays, and, they got the new owners. They're going to spend all this money. Are they? Are they going to spend all this money? Won't it be crazy if the Rays, end up moving the team? What happens if the Rays end up moving the team? The Rays moved the team, and then it's like, well, Stu never moved them. Stu never moved the Rays. It's hard to defend the decisions that these guys make. It's tough. It really is. I hope it's better. I hope we get to a day and age where the Rays are a team that you don't have to be the Yankees. And it's tough because you look at certain situations and you look at the Lightning and how they've been able to prosper in the Tampa Bay area, and you look at how the Bucks have changed over the years after the Hugh Culverhouse days. You look at USF and how they're going against the grain, and USF and other. Dr. Rhea Law said this yesterday during the Brian Hartline press conference. There's other teams, there's other schools around the country that are cutting programs, cutting sports out of their athletic programs. And what is USF doing? They're doubling down. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're spending money to make a shit ton of it. What is the Rays doing? The Rays are like, here, come here. Pay for the food first. And if you don't like it, it's like, hey, well, we are the Rays. Look at our ingredients. We don't have the ingredients the Yankees have. Sorry. No bueno, buddy. The Colts are signing QB Phillip Rivers to their practice squad. Hall of Fame semifinalist, age 44, rejoins the Indianapolis quarterback room to support Riley Leonard and serve as a potential option down the road, a dramatic return for Phillip Rivers at 44. So we should just do a bunch of breaking news alerts for guys coming back and playing for their old teams. Breaking news, Emmitt Smith is coming back to run for the Arizona Cardinals once again. Breaking news, Jerry Rice back with the Seattle Seahawks, but it can't be the team that they started with. It's got to be the team that they played with like a little bit at the end of their career. Breaking news, Terrell Owens is coming back with the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to T.O., everybody. Breaking news, Joe Montana back with the Chiefs. Sorry, Patrick Mahomes, move on over. Joe Cool, undefeated in the Super Bowl. He's taking over for you because you're dog shit now. Who else? Who else could rejoin the team? Breaking news, Adrian Peterson, so impressed with the effort by the Saints last week at Raymond James Stadium against the Buccaneers. Adrian Peterson back with the New Orleans Saints, everybody. Sign him up. Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear that? Yes, I do too. Jackson Dart, move on over. Kurt Warner's coming back, baby. Re-signing with the Giants. Unbelievable job. Breaking news, Manny Ramirez back with the Rays. Brian Hartline's back with the Dolphins. Albert Hainsworth coming back. Mark Recchi with the Bolts. I love it. I love it. Watch out now. Gary Sheffield coming out of retirement. Starting that Hall of Fame clock again. Gary Sheffield's going to sign with the Yankees because he loved it so much the first time. Tom Brady coming back with the Bucks, guys. Watch out. LaShawn McCoy, is that you? I see you. Back with the Chiefs. Huh. How about it? Oh, wait. No. Oh, no, I don't see it. I don't see it. Wait, I do. Brett Favre back with the Jets. Look out. The Jets are signing Brett Favre to start over Tyrod Taylor, start Justin Fields. Neil O'Donnell and Kenny O'Brien were not available at all. And no, Josh Freeman does not qualify. It has to be the team that they weren't drafted by. It's got to be a team later on in their careers. I'll take Richard Sherman with the Buccaneers. And I'll take Julio Jones with the Buccaneers too. How about it? Breaking news, everybody. I know you're out there. Dan Campbell back at tight end with the Giants. He is leaving the Detroit Lions to be the tight end for the Giants, to be that outlet, to be that safety net for Jackson Dart. What an incredible move, Dan Campbell. You did such a good job with the Detroit Lions. He is back with the New York Giants. Wow. Unfreaking believable, guys. I can't believe this. Can't believe it. Antonio Brown. Did you see this, guys? Breaking news, Antonio Brown back with the Patriots. He is so inspired by Drake May's play. He wants to play with Teddy Bruschi. Antonio Brown back with the New England Patriots. It's crazy. It really is when you think about it. Ryan Fitzpatrick, is that you? You are? You're back with the Houston Texans? Ryan Fitzpatrick taking over for CJ Stroud, trying to lead them into the playoffs. He told Davis Mills, hold my beer, shave my beard. I am back in Houston with the Texans. All of these moves have happened today. Can you believe this? JPP with the back with the Bucks. Rivers back with the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm getting word. Wait. Hold on, guys. No. You've got to be kidding me. This isn't true. No. Unbelievable. Can't believe it. I'll announce it now. Right here on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Number 15 in your programs. Number 1 in your hearts. Tim Tebow back with the Jets. He's back with the Jets. Unbelievable. Wait, he's been traded to the Jaguars. Traded to the Jaguars. I cannot believe this. They're breaking an NFL record. He was on the Jets for 6 seconds. That's as long as Brett Favre has before he gets another subpoena thrown his way. Tim Tebow back with the Jaguars. They do not trust Trevor Lawrence. They do not trust anybody else on that team. I'm hearing that it's just going to be Tim Tebow and 5 offensive linemen. They're going to go 6-11. Liam Cohen is that good. Wow. Tim Tebow back up the Brinks truck. This is amazing. Unbelievable. Here we go. Tim Tebow back with the Jaguars. Let's clap it up for touchdown Jesus himself. This is a beautiful thing. You know what? I'm going to give you my ring here. This is for you, Tim. University of Tampa. There we go. Breaking news. Jay Recher signing with the University of Tampa. Ray Rice back with Philly. Did he play with Philly? University of Tampa, baby. Get the ring. That was fun. That was a fun little segment. Fun little chat right there. 813, baby. All day long. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So finally, let's talk about Brian Hartline a little bit. So when it comes to Brian Hartline, this is one of the most important things that he has to do for USF. A lot of people are talking about Brian Hartline and what he's done as a coordinator for Ohio State. Breaking news, Jay Retro has a ring and the Baker News don't this year. That's coming from a Dolphins fan, everybody. So we have to keep things in perspective when it comes to Brian Hartline and USF. And I don't want to be the wet blanket on this entire situation because everything was so, and I am tired. Late night last night with the Pendingos. For Hartline, we have to temper our expectations a little bit because he does not have that draw of saying, I'm at Ohio State. And if you think that you're getting the Jeremiah Smiths and you think you're getting the Tates and you're getting the Ibukas and you're getting the Harrison Juniors and you're getting the Terry McLaurins, like you're not getting those guys. They didn't go to Ohio State just for Brian Hartline. Did he help? Of course. But he went there because it's Ohio State, the Ohio State University. You know, you have one of the biggest platforms. You know that you're going to have a really good chance of playing in some high-profile games and getting drafted and achieving the ultimate dream of playing in the National Football League. That happened before Brian Hartline was even a player there. Let's keep that in perspective. Is Brian Hartline going to be able to recruit the same way at USF as he did without the Ohio State banner behind him? That is going to be a huge challenge. USF Sleeper QB, I just found this out from our guy, Gio. You typed it in like 6 times, so I'll say it this time. Buckeyes, Lincoln Kineholtz, senior next season, won't see the field because Julian Sain is back. Yeah, could be, buddy. Never know. Byron might be back too. But I think, Gio, you understand this as well as everybody. Hartline did a great job, but it's a lot different when you walk into somebody's living room and you have a Ohio State polo on versus a USF polo. Ohio State, that name carries a lot. Not just in the state of Ohio either, across the country. How much of Brian Hartline's resume going to help him at USF? We'll see. But I would temper my expectations to think that you're going to get all of these top-tier receivers. I don't think so. I think you look at some of the guys that they already have in-house. I think you have a better chance of those guys staying. I think you have a better chance of getting wide receivers that don't go to a top 10 program. Like, I think you will be beating some people maybe to, the teams that are 4th, 5th, 6th in some of those big conferences. Yeah, no doubt. But if you think that guys are just going to go to USF over Ohio State because Brian Hartline is here, I think you're sadly mistaken. I hope they keep Neptune. I hope they keep Chaz. I hope they keep Jeremiah Coger. I think You keep those guys, you'll be in good shape, because the wide receivers the last couple of years at USF, they have been okay. They're not bad. He knows this area, which is helpful. You go to different parts of the state of Florida, from all the way up in western Florida, up there in Pensacola area, and then going as far south as Key West and everything in between. This guy has scoured those schools, and to be able to converse with all of those coaches, I think that's a positive. But I just want everybody to just kind of realize that it doesn't work that way. As far as like, you're going to get all these 5-star wide receivers and they're not going to go to Ohio State and they're going to go to USF. Not yet. Not before the stadium, right? Not before the stadium, not before the conference realignment. We're just going to have to continue to kind of like punch above our weight a little bit. You got to win the games you're supposed to. And as much as we want to talk about recruiting, one of the things that we haven't seen from Brian Hartline is how he manages games. Is he going to call plays? Because as much as everybody loved Alex Golesh, he came up short in big games, in conference. He didn't bring this team to a national championship. He didn't bring this team to a conference championship. And I'm not even talking about wins. I'm talking about appearances. He did a good job for 3 years and slowly improving this team. Could Alex Golesh have done in the next 3 years, bring them to a conference championship? I feel like the way they were trending, I would say yes, but he didn't. He didn't. And that's a chance that Auburn has to take. Because there's still a chance that he couldn't have. And he didn't. And then what happens? So going forward with Brian Hartline, all right, buddy. You got a nice foundation to work with here at USF. You have the support of everybody. I'm not worried about the future. I'm not worried about going forward. What the hell is going to happen? I could care less. But this team, this Bulls Nation, these fans right now, you're as excited as you've been, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. I'm super excited for all that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me today. What's going on tonight? We got a Lightning game tonight. Any USF games on tonight? Continue to whom? Tomorrow, College of Charleston. Women's basketball on the 15th against the Vanderbilts. That's on the road. Men at Alabama, December 17th, a week from tomorrow. Tuesday night, we're going to be locked in our Tampa Bay Lightning, baby. Lightning in Montreal against the Canadians. We'll see if Brandon Halverson gets the start, or if they go right back to Jonas Johansson. We will find out later on today. Make sure you follow our favorites. NBA Cup, Eddie says. Let's look at some of those games for tonight. Ooh, okay, Eddie. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line. Bro, Miami at Orlando, New York at Toronto. Let's get it. Let's get it, baby. New York beat Orlando the other day. That was some. You see that what Desmond Bain did? Desmond Bain throwing the ball at OG Anunoby. Like, that was some weird. That was weird. Everybody's like, oh, he's a bitch. I'm like, that was just weird. He was trying to throw it at him like he was keeping the ball in bounds, yet he was in bounds and he was out. That was just very, very strange. Yeah, I definitely would have tried to fight that guy. I would definitely would have tried to fight him. Desmond Bain's not a small guy, but OG isn't either. But yeah, I wasn't gonna let nobody punk me like that either. That's the truth. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I love you all. Thank you all for the support. Make sure you support Honest Hammer Custom Builders and Ever Health as well. Those guys are the best. They are the best. And thank you to everybody that contributed to the show today. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're subscribing. Hit me up with the super chats. Tomorrow on the program, Eric Erlinson. Eric Erlinson. We're trying to get a Bucks and a USF guest on as well. Thursday night, I'll be at the Buccaneers game. Just got approved for my credential. I am ready for that. Don't forget Beckles and Recher tomorrow as well. Check out the In the Trenches podcast and go get you some kava and Kratom 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. I love Honest Hammer. I love Ever Health, and I love you too. You guys are the best. Happy Tuesday. Stay safe. Stay warm because it's a little chilly out there, whether you're here or in Georgia or in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, the rest of them up and down the East Coast, all of our viewers. I love you all. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow noon right here on the Jay Rich Podcast. I'm gone. Peace out.